Hello, my name is Barry Voss and I'm president of Faith Life Ministries. In this video, I'm going to be sharing an overview of our Discipleship for Church Leaders Training Manual. I'm going to be sharing about the background of this training, what its purpose is, and then also explaining how best to teach this manual to others. First, I'd like to share with you a little bit about the background of this training manual. We had been teaching about discipleship for several years, and so back in 2017, we decided to compile all these different trainings into one manual. It is similar to our management training manuals in that it has 12 chapters and 3 sections, and it was designed to be biblically based, practical, and very easy to teach. It was designed primarily for pastors and church leaders, but it can also be used for Bible students. And we now currently have this training manual available in 5 different languages. The purpose of this particular training manual is to provide tools and strategies for effective church discipleship. And these tools and strategies must be applied by leaders in order to be effective within the church context or the ministry context. And we also want to encourage a more planned and intentional approach to discipleship within your church or ministry. This manual is structured very similar to our Management for Church Leaders training manuals. In other words, it has 3 sections and a total of 12 chapters. In this particular manual, the first section we call Discipleship Foundations. And in this section, we teach about spiritual reproduction, obedience, humility, and stewardship. In the second section, we talk about discipleship principles. And here we talk about discipling children, discipling youth, discipling men, and discipling women. And the final section is called Discipleship for the Church. And in this section, we talk about discipleship planning, small group discipleship, mentoring others, and finally, encouraging a hunger for God. Now, this manual contains essential principles and tools, but they must be applied appropriately in order to be effective. So consequently, the manual includes applications and exercises to help participants apply or understand what they are learning. Again, this is a toolkit similar to our Management for Church Leaders training. It's designed to be referred back to and used often within your church or ministry. Next, I want to talk about preparation for training. So before you begin to teach this particular manual, you first need to familiarize yourself with the training itself. Make sure you review the instructions and the time allotments that are in the trainer's manual. And you should consider your own personal illustrations and examples that you might use to help explain the training. Secondly, know your audience. Know the types of leaders that you will be teaching. Are they pastors? Are they church leaders? Or are they Bible students? Know their background and who they are so you can more effectively teach this material to them in a way that's relevant and will be effective. Third, make sure you develop a training schedule. Each chapter is designed to be taught in about 60 minutes, and you want to make sure you leave time for the exercises as well. And you can teach this training either on a daily basis, a weekly basis, or even a monthly basis. It's up to you. Finally, you should prepare some training materials. We encourage you to make a copy of the training manual for each participant so that they can take that with them and take notes in that as well. You are welcome to use a whiteboard or a chalkboard if you want to illustrate some things that are in the manual. And you can also use PowerPoint presentations if you'd like. We have some PowerPoints available for you, but mostly they're in English with just a few other languages that might be available. And finally, just as a reminder, training is not just reading information out of a manual. It's helping students understand what the material means and being able to apply it in their own context. So that's why we do exercises and have discussions in order to help the students learn and determine how best to apply them in their own ministries and churches. This video is an overview, but we're going to have a video for each individual chapter that will teach you how to teach those individual chapters. So we encourage you to follow the instructions that are in each chapter. We have a concept for that chapter that you can introduce and a scripture that it begins with. There are questions within the trainer's manual that you can ask either of a small group or of the large group as an entirety. And we encourage you to use illustrations wherever possible to help the students understand the principles that you are teaching. Secondly, make sure you involve the participants. We've found that discussion is very important, so whenever you can get them into small groups or even in a large group context, have some dialogue because students can then learn from one another as you share about these particular principles and things going on in this particular training of that particular chapter. Again, use biblical examples wherever possible because that is very universal. And make sure that you encourage people to respond in dialogue and never criticize incorrect answers, but just try and refocus them on and make sure they get the right answer that you're looking for if you're going to be asking questions about the material. Finally, don't forget to do the chapter exercises. These are very important because they help the students apply what they're learning and to reinforce those principles that we're being taught in each individual chapter. Now, the last thing we want you to do is to summarize the training when you're teaching it. In other words, ask review questions that are in each section of the manual. And you do this to make sure that the students understand the material and that it will help them retain the material as well. Next, have a closing question and answer session. So you allow them a chance to ask questions about the material, about things maybe they didn't fully understand. You can also at this point hand out completion certificates. We have some available that we can send to you that you just add the particular information for that particular session and class. And you can fill in the blanks and then print them and hand them out to the students. And finally, you can ask for participant testimonies. Ask them to stand up and share with the group what they've learned, what was important. And if you can, we'd love it if you could get a video of some of these and send them to us, especially if they're translated into English. And last but not least, when you're done with the training, make sure that you communicate to us what took place via a training report, where you indicate how many people attended, how many of them were pastors, and the dates and locations of that particular training. And we'd also encourage you to give us any feedback or testimonies and even just a few photos of the training that we can use in our newsletters and other publications. Thank you for watching this video. Now I encourage you to watch each of the other 12 chapter videos to learn more about how to teach individual chapter. Thank you.